All right, so I'm going to talk about my biggest peeve, my biggest pet peeve in the world, and that's the fracture reserve banking system. I should have made this my number one video, but this is my third video. But it truly is something that just violates my three principles, and those principles are, just to repeat, does it make sense? Is it logical? Is it ethical? And is it sustainable? If there's anything, and there's probably 100 other principles that it actually violates, it's not just limited to three, but is there anything that is first of all, makes no sense in the world? It's the fractional reserve system. Understand that this is called fiat currency. It actually has no intrinsic value of its own. There is absolutely nothing that backs this currency, this or call it currency. It's not even currency. It's not even money. What it is, it's an IOU. You know, like the fractional reserve writes an IOU check to the Treasury, right, saying you owe us this much money. Okay, and we're going to put interest on that. Now, here's a question: where's the interest come from? When you get $100,000, and that's your currency, that's your supposed money for your country, where does the interest come from to pay? Where's the money come from to pay the interest that is accumulating on that 100,000? Say if you borrow, just for number's sake, 100,000, right? And there's 5% interest, just for number's sake, it's $5,000. Where's that $5,000 come from? Out of thin air. No, it doesn't. I mean, they're not going to take that. It's never designed to be paid off. You know? That's the problem with this. It's not real money. It's an endless pit that you can go to anytime you want. You know, the only thing you have to do is get some senators and Congress people aboard, and then we can go and get some more. That's all it is. And what is it? I mean, it used to be that they had to print the money or actually make the money. Nowadays, you don't even have to do that. All you need is a computer somewhere. They have this huge building, right? The fractional reserve building there. It's huge. It's like a monument or something like that. And probably empty. There's probably nothing in there. Probably like a little room in the basement there with a computer. You got a computer with an Excel program, or I don't know, Microsoft home financing program or something like that. And when the Treasury comes knocking on your door, you just go, "Hey, let's go to the computer and bring up some money. How much do you want?" Man, what a gig, eh? Can I get in on this? I got a computer. Can I not just type in some numbers and say, here you go. Consider it money. That's all they're doing. There's nothing backing this up except force and the IRS, and you go to jail if you don't pay, right? But by the way, this is where taxation was brought up to be able to pay off the fractional reserve. You can thank the fractional reserve for the taxes, the personal taxes that we pay. That's the only reason. Because you got to pay them back somehow, right? So you're constantly throwing them money, and then you turn around and say, "Hey, can you print me up some more? Because we're a little short." So they print you up some more, and then you've got, it's just like a mortgage, you know? But it's a revolving mortgage. When you need it, you go back and you dip in, right? And the equity is us, right? We're labor, right? We're the actually equity. We're the house in terms of a mortgage. And then, so they just come and say, well, how much do you need? All right, here we go. Here's your mortgage. Here's the start date. Here's the interest. Here's your first payment. Right? And that's all it is. And you can go back and when you get it down a bit, you can go back and increase it, or you can just start increasing it all you want. Now, here's the other thing. You're borrowing money that takes, in some cases, decades to pay off. I just, found out that Italy, for example, this is an example. Italy paid off their World War I debt not that long ago. We're talking about a couple years, a few years maybe. 100 years to pay off a World War I, like a World War I debt. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how much interest was paid on that? And how much labor went into paying off that loan? It's tremendous. And that's one example out of probably hundreds of examples. Now, Italy didn't do it from the fracture. They actually went out to another bank and borrowed, right? But it actually just comes down to the fractured reserve, because, it's like a double-end bookkeeping, basically, coming in, going out, that kind of thing, that's all you have to do. It's just like pure Machiavellian, right? You bring it in from this end, you pay it out that end, and you never see the money. You don't even have to, like again, I said again, you don't even have to print it. It's just in a computer somewhere. Now, how ethical is it that people, decades after the loan was taken out, are still paying the interest in? You're talking 2, 3, maybe 4 generations that are still paying that loan. And people had nothing to do with why that thing was the loan was taken out in the first place. Everything's probably crumbled by now. Everybody's living in a shoebox. You can't buy anything, but your taxes still come pretty regular. You got to pay those. It's a system that just does not make a lot of sense. And here's another thing. Here's a it's totally unsustainable because of course it's going to crash. It's going to be replaced by another currency. Something else is going to replace it, and so on and so forth. And it's probably going to be the same damn thing, right? It's just a reset, right? But here's another point, though. Say if you do buckle down and you are now paying off this fractional reserve loan, this IOU. And as you pay it off, the money in circulation starts to increase in value because you're taking money out of the system. So how do all of a sudden that money to actually pay off becomes more valuable? So your actual, it's funny how this works because if you start to pay, it's never designed to be paid off. Remember, if you start to pay it off, it actually hurts you. That's called deflation, and that's what governments don't want to see. They don't want to see deflation. Inflation's fine. You losing your money, that's fine. You losing the value, your purchasing power, that's fine. But once you start getting purchasing power, which is called deflation, that hurts the governments because now their payment back becomes huger. It's more valuable. And here's the other thing. So you do buckle down. You start paying off everything. And you're down to your last $100, which is the entire value of your country. Right? And little granny, who still kept her money underneath the mattress, has that last $100. In a sense, how are you going to get all the money? Are you going to force people to hand over money to you? How are you going to get that last $100 from Granny? Are you going to break down her door? Because that money, how valuable will that last $100 be? I wouldn't. I can see, poor Granny. They're not going to stop for poor Granny. They're not going to stop for ethics in this one. She's done. People who have the money at the end. You were smart enough to save, but you're not going to stop the wolves from knocking down your door. Anyway, That's it for now. I'll think of some more topics, and hopefully this interests you. And please subscribe, and we'll talk to you again. Take care.